My name's Luke Johnson, and I work for myself. I've published a book called Started Up, and I was chairman of Pizza Express. I started a business called Strada, and I'm now chairman of Giraffe and Patisserie Valerie. I think the two single most important characteristics are firstly self-confidence, a belief in oneself, and secondly I think willpower, self-discipline, the ability to carry something through. I think there are many other attributes and talents that help, high levels of energy, an extrovert, people who are decisive, people who are numerate, people who have charisma. I think all of those and many more other features matter and can help, but I think the single two most important things are self-discipline and self-confidence. Actually, the single most important feature is not necessarily ideas or the concept as such, but it's actually the ability to execute, i.e. the individual who can manage and carry something out, and also the person who can be persistent, who can follow through and stay there against the odds when it becomes difficult. Because I think the ability to start from scratch a business and grow it, it's not easy, and generally speaking many businesses will suffer setbacks on the journey to success, and so therefore you require a resilience and a robustness that I think's irreplaceable, and without that the risk is you give up too early, and that's the ultimate tragedy. I think smaller businesses are more innovative, and I think the reasons are many. I think they have the flexibility to admit their mistakes rather than large institutions which have a sort of inbuilt capacity to carry on even after it's obvious that the project isn't working. I also think the cost of failure for smaller companies is so much lower that they can accept it more readily. In a way they're more humble. I think the arrogance of large organisations is what can do them in. Also I think big organisations are focused on the idea of carrying on with what works rather than experimenting at the edges with new things that might be very small to begin with. And this encourages smaller companies to try new stuff because they've got less to lose. Big companies have all their existing sales and revenues and profits and so forth that might be under threat from a new initiative or a new product or what have you. Also I think the risk in large organisations is of groupthink and consensus thinking, where bureaucracy and office politics are what obsesses people, rather than if you're running your own business and it's a struggle, the thing you obsess about is meeting the payroll every month, and you will do whatever it takes to make that new product a success or communicate to the world why people should buy from your business. Large companies suffer from, I think, inertia, and this is possibly the root of their downfall. I think the digital world has transformed all small businesses. I think it's made it much easier to test things through trial and error, experiment. The costs are much lower, the speed to market is much quicker. You speak to the world through a PC. What it means essentially is that you can trial products, you can communicate with customers, with suppliers, with possible recruits much more easily. So I think in a way the advent of the internet has meant that the playing field is much more even than it used to be. The barriers to entry in a sense are much lower, and I think that's great news for entrepreneurs.